Well, hello everyone, welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. I'm so excited for this episode because it's going to be the final episode in our little mini-series about mastering seed starting. It's a kit that I put together to help you all kind of take out the question marks of seed starting, and then you can pick up some of our other videos. I'd suggest the Back to Basics series. That's a great series to pick up, and that will kind of fill in all the rest of the gaps to seed starting. But this kit is really going to help everyone kind of take out those question marks. And I really do love all the feedback that we've gotten and the comments we've gotten about seed starting, and people reaffirming my hopes that it's helping, and it's helping to eliminate those questions and the unknowns and just making it easier. The thing we're going to be talking about today is a heat map. Heat mats, and the reason why it's the very last thing in our kit is because I did not want to make it obviously the first, because it's not the most important, and I'll be completely honest. This is the most optional thing that you have in the kit. The grow light, if you're going to start indoors, you need it. If you're going to grow indoors, you need a seed starting tray. You just need it. There's no way around it. And if you're going to start any seeds, you need soil. There's no way around it. So those things you really do need, and you can't really do without. This, on the other hand, is really based on what you're starting and your environment. If your house is quite warm, say above 70 degrees, you probably don't need a heat mat. If you're going outdoors, and let's say you live in like California or Arizona or Texas, you have beautiful, nice, warm weather, and you're starting seeds, and you don't even really need to start indoors, well then you don't need a light, but you also don't need a heat mat. Anything above 70 degrees is plenty fine. The thing is, with a lot of northern climates, we still have something called winter, even though it's technically spring, and winter is still on its way. It's been snowing for the past week. So we don't quite have the luxury of warm weather. And our house, especially our basement, is a little on the cooler side. It's around 65 degrees. And that's just not ideal for starting things like tomatoes and peppers, which gets me into some of those other things. If you're not growing tomatoes and peppers, if you're not growing some of those warmer weather crops like eggplants, you're going to be fine without a heat mat for seed starting. And so that's one of those things I said, it depends on what you're growing. If you are growing things like tomatoes and peppers and eggplants, some of your warmer weather crops, which I know a lot of you love to grow, myself included, you're going to want to pick one of these up. Plain and simple, this will add supplemental heat that will be absorbed into your soil, and it will kind of simulate warmer conditions. Those warmer conditioned plants like tomatoes and peppers and eggplants, I mean, just a lot of others as well, a lot of your herbs. Those are all crops that they need warm soil to germinate, and they simply will not germinate well if they don't have that warm soil. So this is going to be crucial. But I will say, I'm so shocked at seed mats because so many of them, in fact, almost every single one that I've came across in big box stores, do not have this little thing that I wish they all had, which was a temperature control. If you're someone using a heat mat for seed starting, I'm going to show you all how they come, and this is how almost all of them come. I've not yet come across one that's a pretty budget-friendly model that has a temperature control. They all come just a regular old mat with a regular plug. Okay? Come on! The reason why having temperature control is so important and so vital for seed starting is because if you start your seeds and you leave them on this heat mat for any length of time, the heat mat will continue heating up, and there is no regulation to how long it stays on. There's no regulation to how warm it gets, for how long it gets. There's just no control other than on, off, heat, cold, or hot, cold. Yeah, so the problem is that beginning gardeners often use them wrong. So many beginning gardeners pick them up, but they don't know how to use them properly. So this episode is going to be more or less how to use a heat mat properly, because I know it was one of the first things I bought thinking it was just, I need it, I must have it. And so I've yet to find a beginning gardener that does not have a heat mat. This one is produced by Fairy Morse. It's a very good quality one, made with great materials. But again, Fairy Morse, come on. If you're gonna get one, put a temperature control in it. Just have a little dial that shows a temperature that shuts off, a built-in thermostat, at 85 degrees, turn it off. Because the fact of the matter is, if you're starting tomatoes, 85 degrees is going to be great. If you're starting peppers, they can handle up to 90 degrees and they'll be great. But if you're starting things like lettuce or onions or some of your herbs, they don't need 85 degrees, and you can overheat and you can damage the germination rate, and they do better in stuff like 65 to 70 degrees. Would it still be nice to have a heat mat? Sure, for some of those people that might have cooler temperatures, that might want to guarantee better germination rates, they might want to only warm their soil up to 70 degrees or 75 at most. Would that be nice? Yes. So I'm going to show you a really super simple tip that is going to help to eliminate the overheating problem regardless of what model you have, because they're all created the same. I just went and picked up this Fairy Morse because of the build quality of it. You're going to find the construction is like 99.9% the same on all of them. So this right here is the answer to all your problems. This is just a regular piece of cardboard cut to the dimensions of the seed starting heat mat. What that's going to do is, if you can see, cardboard is corrugated. That adds strength and rigidity to the cardboard. However, what that also does is allows air pockets. Air is a great insulator. What that's going to do is going to allow the air to warm up. That temperature is going to actually be transferred throughout because the air pockets run this way. It's going to heat up much more evenly, and that's going to allow for a much more even distribution of heat throughout your soil, because you will find there's also hot spots in here. Certain spots will get more hot than others, and that will cause inconsistencies. This will heat much more evenly, and I can actually feel the heat already coming through. It's just nice and warm, but it's not too hot, and that's going to prevent that overheating issue, because I would rather have it be a little on the cooler side than too hot, because your germination will be far more adversely affected if it's too hot than if it's a little bit too cold. And I can feel this right here. This is easily 75 degrees coming through here, if not a little bit warmer than that. So yeah, that's real nice. That's about 75 to 80 degrees, and that's great for seed starting. Any more than that, and you're going to start having some issues. So this is going to really disperse, because then what you're going to do is you're going to take your seed starting tray, and you're going to put this right on top of there. So now what you do is now you have another little layer of protection, and then that is going to then go into your soil. So this is how I want you all to use your heat mats. Do not use them like this. That is one of the worst things you can possibly do. And I can tell you that this right here is what I've been doing for about 4 years now. And that has saved me so much hassle. It's made my life so much easier when it comes to seed starting. And I do not notice any negative side effects from doing that. The soil warms up just perfectly. It actually evens out the heat distribution, so it's a lot more consistent, and you just have far better results. All right, so there you go. There is your quick tip on how to use a heat mat properly and the benefits of having one. I definitely think it's great for beginning gardeners to have one at their, in their possession, because it definitely can help, but using it properly is the key. So I hope you all enjoyed this quick little tip. And the final question we get asked is, do we ever turn it on or off? And the answer is no. When we are starting seeds before they sprout, never, ever, ever turn it off, because they need that consistent temperature. As soon as you start seeing seedlings sprout, unplug it. Because the thing is that the seedlings need the heat when they're germinating. As soon as they germinate, they don't need that heat anymore. If you keep that heat on, what's going to happen is it's going to either bake the roots, because they're a little more tender and they don't need that heat, so it's going to bake the roots, and that's going to hurt your plants. Or what it's going to do, it's going to cause too much evaporation. That heat underneath the planting container is going to help the water evaporate into the air, meaning your water is not staying where your plant roots need them, meaning it's going to dry. And so I highly recommend you just to unplug it. It's much better, and your plants don't need it. So I hope you all enjoyed. As always, Luke from the MIgardener channel reminding you to grow big or go home. We'll catch y'all later. See ya. Bye.